This is Talk of the Town. Welcome in. We speak with leaders in the UGA and Athens communities here on the airwaves of 90.5 WUOG. Hope you guys are enjoying this second day of April. I certainly am. I'm excited because we have two guests today. Usually we just get one, but today we've got two for the price of one. We've got two members of the recently elected ticket for the Student Government Association, the UGA Student Government Association. We have in the studio with us right now Mr. Johnelle Simpson, the president-elect, and Mr. Houston Gaines, the vice president-elect. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for coming in. So let's kind of start with your standard introductory stuff. You guys are obviously both students at UGA. Johnelle, you're a third year. Houston, you're a second year. How did you guys get involved with student government? Have you held other positions in the past? And what motivated you to form this ticket?
Well, I got involved with student government my sophomore year here at UGA. The Terry College of Business had a vacant Senate seat, and freshman year I applied to be an SGA, and SGA declined me. Guess I wasn't good enough at the time. So the next year I wanted to represent my school because my school had a lack of representation. So I applied to be a senator in the Terry College of Business, and I have served for a senator for the past 2 years for Terry.
And I guess for me, last year was my first year being a part of SGA. I served as our Director of Government Relations and really enjoyed that opportunity. Fast forward a year and a half ago, I worked for the mayor here in Athens. And
Nancy Denson.
That's right, and I had a great opportunity with her. And Johnelle, that's how actually we first met. I was working for Nancy, and she went and talked to his church actually and offered for anybody. He went up and spoke to her after she talked, and he said, "I'd like to help out with your campaign." And so Nancy told him to come on over to her house, and Johnelle showed up looking to volunteer, and he got right in, and that's where we first met. And we've been friends ever since. He encouraged me to apply for SGA and do something. At that point, it was too late to do a Senate seat, but I was really interested in the government relations piece because I thought we could be effective in terms of making change on the local level, and then also with connections at the state level. And I worked alongside Grant Thomas, who was our director of state government relations, and I think we got a lot done this year, and that's where I guess I got my start in SGA. And our third member, Darby Miller, is a senator. She's running for or I guess not running anymore.
Treasurer-elect.
Treasurer-elect, that's right. It's good to say that. But Darby was a senator this year as well, alongside Johnelle.
Okay, and so how did you guys decide, the three of you, to form that ticket? What was your what was kind of the impetus for that decision?
Well, as Houston alluded to, I met him at the mayor's house right after that church service. I went over to volunteer. When I met Houston, I first thought he was either a grad student or a recent UGA grad.
He does have a pretty sick beard. I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, so once I found out he was a student here and he was a freshman at the time, I started talking to him about SGA and my future plans in SGA as far as things to do in Senate, and started working with him through SGA, through a few of local events and different things, and then expressed him my wishes of running for president of the Student Government Association and having him on board. We didn't know where yet or what for yet, but then as we got to talking more, figured out our ideals and our visions for the University of Georgia lined up quite well. So coming on board as a member of the ticket, and then we were thinking of a third person, that third person to balance us out, that third person to make it the perfect ticket, and we thought of Darby from her involvement through Senate, from her involvement on campus, and through her sorority. So we just figured out, we asked her, and she said yeah, and ever since then, I mean, that was last year, and here we are now, and we've created a strong bond through the election, and we're ready to work now. Yeah.
I'm speaking with Johnelle Simpson and Houston Gaines, President-elect and Vice President-elect, respectively, for the Student Government Association. Their terms will start later this month, April 14th, the inauguration ceremonies. So you guys mentioned Nancy Denson, Mayor Nancy Denson of Athens, kind of being where you guys first got connected through her. And I was going through the coverage of your campaign, which I believe campaign is a week long for Student Government Association.
That's right.
So late March, you guys were working on that. Your kickoff event the mayor was there. She endorsed you guys. How cool was that?
It was a lot of fun. It really was, especially rewarding, considering, I think that Johnelle and I both worked really hard to get her reelected, and we had a lot of fun. Nancy's kind of like my grandmother. We've known each other for a while. I grew up in Athens, and she knew my granddad really well, and honestly, she kind of put herself on a limb by giving me the opportunity to be her campaign manager for reelection last year. And it was just an incredible opportunity, and to see her come and support Johnelle, myself, and Darby, it was a really neat experience. And I think people were excited to see her. A lot of supporters of our campaign were excited to meet her, and I think it says a lot about the support that we have in the community, because I think it's important for SGA to be a strong representative of the students, to the community, not just to the administration, but there's issues that are outside of the university. For example, crosswalks on county roads, the university has no control over, but the mayor and the commission do. So if you have a strong ties with those folks, you can make positive change for students that will really impact them on a daily basis that you couldn't necessarily do through university administration.
Right. So that connection is very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Mayor Denson endorsed you guys, which was great, but she didn't have a whole lot of other options. You guys had the luxury of running unopposed and received over 90% of the 2,265 votes cast. That has to feel good.
Yes, feels great.
Yeah.
I think one great thing to realize is that a lot of people wanted to run for the positions that we ran for.
And that's what I was going to ask, because
Yeah.
this seems to be kind of abnormal to only have one ticket. I was going through past election results, and the ones, I only went back 4 or 5 years, but there seems to always have been at least 2 tickets. So how did this kind of work out this way?
Well, I think it speaks a lot to the leadership of Houston, Darby, and myself, and what we've done in the past for student government and people's confidence in our abilities to hold these positions. One thing that's really neat is that the amount of votes we accumulated as a ticket is the most for a single party in quite a few years. So we did not allow being the only ticket, being the only party in the race, to stop us from going out to meet the students and encouraging the students to vote, because it takes more of a fight to get students out to vote for one party than if you had an opponent. So I think our team, our ticket, as well as our campaign volunteers did a great job of giving us those almost 2,000 votes in this past election.
1,988 to be exact, which is, I will admit, quite a feat when there is no opposition. You mentioned volunteers, people that helped you with the campaign. Tell me about those people. How did they get involved? What roles did they play? How important were they to the success of your campaign?
I mean, we couldn't have done it without them, that's for sure. 3 people to motivate 2,000 folks to vote, it wouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. We had quite a staff, and probably 20 to 35 people, at different points of the campaign helping out. A lot of people were really excited, and people were just coming up to us and saying, "How can we support you?" And I think that's a lot of reason why we didn't have an opponent in large respect, because they saw that we already had a campaign staff. We had strong support from the students, from the community, and people were ready to line up behind us. And people realized, even though we didn't have an opponent, it was important to get the students engaged, because if you're going to represent the students to the administration or to the community, and it's important that those people see that the students trust you. And if you only get 10 votes, well, you're not representative of the students. But if you go out and get 2,000 votes, when I think if we'd had an opponent, we could have gotten substantially more. People would have been more engaged with the process. But it is very difficult to get people motivated to vote when, again, you only have one choice. But it shows that, as Johnelle said, we got the most votes of a ticket in quite a long time. I think the last ticket that ran unopposed, which was several years ago, got around half the number of votes that we did. And total voters this year was just under last year when there were 2 tickets running. So we were excited about the results. I know that, obviously the more votes the better, and that's something we really want to look at come our administration, is how can we get more students. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 2,000 is not enough. I mean, there's 30,000 students on this campus, so we need to get more people engaged. And I think one easy way to find a way out of that is Looking at the elections code, I think it's important that campaigns can have more than 3 days to be all over campus. It's impossible.
Was that it? 3 days? Not even a whole week?
It's Sunday to Wednesday.
Okay.
So you don't have much time. Now, the 3 weeks before that, you could go and speak to student organizations, which we kept extremely busy doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't put anything on social media, which these days that's how most people are responding.
Right. I mean, that's how you run a campaign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, if you really want to get the feedback of the students and see what issues are important to students, you need to be asking them a lot earlier than 3 days before the election. So that's something we really want to look at, is how can we get more people engaged. People at Alabama, I think their turnout was 15 to 20,000 students. So how can we get more people excited about the elections and make sure that people care about their student government.
And I think Nick Saban finished third for president in those SGA elections. Just want to make a quick note of that. I'm speaking with Johnelle Simpson and Houston Gaines of the recently elected Momentum ticket for the executive elections of the Student Government Association here at the University of Georgia. Now let's move on to your platforms, some specific points in your platform that I found interesting. I read it, looked it over, it looked very professionally done, very well thought out. One of your points there is that you want to work with campus transit to develop a night shuttle. And from my understanding, the night shuttle would be to get students from places on campus at night to their place of, where they live without having to walk through potentially dangerous areas, without having them have to be uncomfortable on their way home. Is that pretty much the...
Right. So the initial point when we started our campaign was to develop a nighttime security transportation system. And we have been so grateful, and we appreciate the administration giving us a pilot program that started 2 weeks ago of our nighttime security transportation. When we were getting ready to think of platform points, think of what we really wanted to be the next transformational thing on campus, we got a lot of feedback from students who said that although they may be safe in reality on campus, they don't necessarily have that sense of security on campus at night, since we do lack a blue light system, and our campus PD don't usually patrol the interior portions of campus. So we thought that this security nighttime transportation system would be great for our campus, great for the University of Georgia, as a lot of schools have turned to a program similar to this. So what we have now is a program that serves three areas, one being the main library, the next being the Miller Learning Center, and the third being the Science Library. So if you're parked in a parking deck near one of those vicinities, the transportation system will take you from that either that library or the learning center to that parking deck, or from the parking deck to the Miller Learning Center or the library, which is really great. It runs between 7 and 2 a.m. The biggest thing now is to get students to participate in this program, so we can have this program become a success, as well as expand this program to other areas of campus. We have students who may start their day on South Campus, may have a chemistry class, but then have to come up and take an accounting class in Terry, and may end up studying in MLC but have no transportation back to their car on South Campus. So right now this program doesn't really take you to those areas, so we really want to see it expand and improve to serve more students.
And here's my question. Doesn't the, Campus Transit runs night routes anyway. What's the difference between those night routes and the program you're proposing here? Right.
So the difference between a lot of night routes is at night, on the night route, if you look at a UGA bus, either you will see one or two people on the bus, one being the bus driver and one being one person who may need a ride on the bus. So it's it's not used, and I've even talked to the head of transit, and they feel like those are funds that they can allocate to other services, being a nighttime shuttle program.
So with this new program, the pilot program that you're hoping to expand, would this kind of go in tandem with shrinking of the traditional routes that we have going on now?
It may either reroute those routes. It may shrink those routes. I believe there's two routes at night, so that may go into one, and they may change the route and how that route services campus. But what we do have is a lot of students who drive but can't drive to campus during the day because different lots and different parking decks are for only people who have a pass into that deck or that lot. So when these students drive on campus at night, we need to make sure that they're safe and that they feel safe while they're going back to those parking decks at night.
Gotcha. Another point that I thought was interesting. Oh, wait a second. Let me go back for just a second. your platform says that this would be free. The night shuttle program would be free. Now,
It's free.
both of you are studying. Houston, you're studying economics. Johnelle, you're studying risk management, insurance. Let's define free for a second. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Right.
Who's paying for it?
So this is coming out of transit and transit's different funds. So what they're doing is using the resources they already have available.
Okay, so theoretically, we already pay a transportation fee. What we're saying is that wouldn't go up because of this program.
Right. President Moorhead has promised you that 2 months ago in his State of the University address that transportation fees will not increase. So they're using those different vans and different resources that are not normally used for this service at night, and it's not really a huge expense to the transit system.
Good to hear. So let's move on to dining, the dining services, the meal plan that I personally enjoy, and I hope to stay on for, I don't know, the next 30 years of my life, if possible. You guys want to see the creation of a commuter-style meal plan, and the idea here would be, students that live off campus, that are on campus for lunch, not really breakfast or dinner, have an option to buy a meal plan that, would allow them to just eat one meal on campus a day without having to, pay basically for the other two meals. Because if you buy a meal plan, I think it comes down to something like $5 a meal, but that's only if you use every meal, if you eat in the dining hall on every meal. So you guys want to see some sort of limited plan where you don't have to pay as much and, you only use it when you need it. Is that correct?
That's right.
So here's I last semester, I was doing kind of a shorter interview segment on the news program here, and I had the opportunity to speak with Jeannie Fry, who is the former director of food services. She's moved on, I think, to Swanee maybe, but anyway, we gave her that same question. Why can't there be a commuter meal plan so that students that are only on campus in the middle of the day, can go eat in the dining halls? And her response was, it'd be too crowded. You'd have, way more students in the dining halls. They're, at lunchtime, they're crowded already. It's just not feasible. She didn't rule it out, but she just, foresaw some serious problems with such a program. How could that be avoided if such a plan was put in place?
Well, one thing is we have a new VP of Auxiliary Services, very open and really wants to make this commuter meal plan happen for students. So I think a change of attitude as far as trying to make it happen and not necessarily allowing the problem of an overpopulated dining hall to halt the expansion of the meal plan. But one thing we have to realize is that every student can't eat in Bolton at lunch every day, because that's going to it's going to be a problem, and it's going to become overpopulated. So that's one thing that we have to hash out. Houston, Darby, and myself will be working with Auxiliary Services to see how we can have students utilize the other dining halls we have on campus. One of the biggest things we have right now, a lot of students don't know about and should probably use more, is our University of Georgia app. So, not only does it tell you where your bus is, but it also tells you how crowded Bolton is. When I checked at 4 o'clock earlier, Bolton was about 37% crowded. So using things like that and trying to redirect students. So if you're on South Campus, maybe try out Snelling or go over to East Campus, but not having everyone go to Bolton at 12 o'clock. It's gonna take participation from the students. So it's a problem, but it can be resolved by having students realize that we have 4 other dining halls besides Bolton.
I think I try to diversify my dining hall intake. I think Snelling and the others can get quite crowded at noon too. But certainly Bolton being centrally located would be especially a problem zone there. But we also have these retail kind of little retail restaurants that campus that dining services operates. We've got one in the building we are now in the Tate Center. Aren't those kind of a feasible option for commuter students to kind of just duck in there, grab a Chick-fil-A or whatever it is, and then move on with their day?
Right.
What's the advantage of the commuter meal plan that we're talking about over the retail options that are currently available?
I would say cost. I mean, to walk into Barbaritos downstairs, great food, of course, but you're going to be paying a lot for it. Whereas if you're on a meal plan that you're guaranteed to get that lunch every single day for a whole semester, the cost can be cut. Which on the university meal plan, it's $15 a day. So it'd be tough to go to whatever restaurant it may be for 3 meals a day and get under $15. Be the same way for lunch. And it does bring up one other issue other than crowd control is, as the meal plan or the dining halls are set up now, what's from stopping someone from coming in at lunch and staying all day, right? Because that's how the system is set up. So there are issues. I
say if you have time to do that, go ahead.
I agree. I mean, you can pay for it right now and do the same thing. You could come in and pay for breakfast and stay all day, right? But there are issues. But I do think that the new VP of Auxiliary Services and ourselves and Food Services actually just put out a survey the other day asking for student input on the issue. So,
and it'd be great, right? I mean, I'd be all for it. I just, we have the overcrowding and the other issues that we have to take into account.
There's definitely feasibility issues, but I think that everyone wants it to happen, and we're going to find a way.
Right.
I hope so.
And you alluded to our different cafes we have on campus. So say you go to Barbaritos, you get a burrito, you get chips, and you add queso to that, and you also get a drink. You're spending about $9. And right now with our 10% discount that you get for dining halls, lunch is around $9. So I don't think the cafes are a solution for that problem because a lot of students can't afford to eat at the different shops in the cafes every day. So there is a problem, and there must be a solution to give our students some affordable option for a meal plan.
All right. Well, look forward to a feasible solution. I'd certainly like to see that. That'd be great for our commuter friends. I'm speaking with Mr. Johnelle Simpson, President-elect from the Momentum ticket, and Mr. Houston Gaines, Vice President-elect, also from the Momentum ticket. They will be taking their places as President and Vice President on April 14th with the inauguration ceremony. Now, do you guys just jump right in after that? Is it?
That's right.
Yeah, just go, huh?
Well, and to be honest, we've been going already. The nice thing about not having an opponent is we started several weeks ago, to be perfectly honest. Several of our platform points we've been working on for weeks now. Mm-hmm. So we've really been working hard, and right now we're already working on our appointed positions. So our applications are live for folks who want to join, our cabinet. And go ahead.
And that's right. And we're quickly running out of time here, so I wanted to give you a few minutes to talk about that. As you say, the appointed positions are live. How can students get involved, and what should they know if they're considering putting in an application for those?
Sure. So we have a position on the executive board. There'll be 5 members of the executive board, including us 3. And then there's the executive secretary, which is the final position on the executive board. We also have the executive cabinet, which are directors, and they would be over something like student resources, or our platform points. There's director of government relations, which is what I was last year. So look, there's about 10 of those, and then there's what was formerly committees. We now have assistant directors, so they're in charge of something specific now. Whereas in the past, committees have just been everyone in student programs, and now you'd be very specifically assigned to a specific piece. Let's say it's inauguration next year, so everyone knows exactly what they've got on their plate. For this upcoming year. If you apply, in order to apply, you go on the Involvement Network, which is involved.uga.edu, and then you sign in and go to the SGA apps, and then you can fill out a submission there, and it's very easy to do. The application's short. Then we'll also be conducting interviews with everyone who applies. But we're hoping to get these applications knocked out early. Some people have also asked about the appointed Senate seats, and those are coming later. Our first Senate is April 21st. And we can't do anything with Senate until after the first Senate. So those applications will hopefully be available 24 hours there after the first Senate.
Great. And I think we've got about 3 minutes left. So real quick, I want to get you to talk to me about one other point on your platform, the Inclusive Post-Secondary Education Program, I guess. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, inclusive post-secondary education is allowing students who have some form of mental or physical disability the privilege, the right to come to the University of Georgia, like all of other students who, like us. I mean, they have the same right we have to come to the University of Georgia. So allowing them to come here and just bringing that program here and housing that program here at UGA. We've seen success at Clemson and other schools that have this program. So UGA is the flagship institution of the state of Georgia. So I think we should hop on board and not be behind in this cause.
All right, sounds good. Any final message you guys want to give to the students at UGA as their newly elected executive representatives?
I just say stay engaged. It's important. We don't know how to represent students unless they come and talk to us and tell us what they want us to do.
I also want to tell the students, just get really excited. There's going to be a lot of exciting things happen next year. There's a lot of momentum going on. The momentum hasn't stopped. The momentum is going to build up. So I tell the students at UGA to buckle up and get ready for next year.
And quickly, we still have a minute. Give it. So, what sort of programs are coming up? What sort of, we've talked about these platform points. Any other foreshadowing you can give us?
I don't want to give anything away.
Okay.
I just want to say get excited. But we're always on campus, so if you ever see us and if you want to stop us and talk to us about anything, please stop us. We're very friendly. We're very approachable people. Darby is a little bundle of joy, so stop her and talk to her too if you ever see her on campus as well.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I have been speaking on Talk of the Town with Mr. Johnelle Simpson. He is the president-elect. Mr. Houston Gaines, the Vice President-elect. Johnelle just mentioned Darby Miller, the Treasurer-elect, all from the momentum ticket of the recently concluded SGA elections. Congratulations to you both, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, you bet. And we'll try to have you back sometime. This has been Talk of the Town. We'll be back next Thursday from 4:30 to 5, and sports is up next.